So why don't you, do you want people to introduce
Actually, why
them?
don't you guys introduce, not that I remember who's in. I'll try.
Mark, do you want to start?
Yeah, hi, Mark Muller, Radnor resident, father of 2 in the township, and aerospace background, very interested in sustainability.
Okay, great. I know you.
Hi, I'm Ruth Mooney, and I'm resident of Radnor Township. I live in St. David's, and I'm a nurse. I'm retired. I've been retired for 3 years now, but very interested in environmental issues. I see this as the major health issue of our time.
Dan Burnham, been here in the township for 30 years. Worked at clinical research and development for pharmaceutical industry for 24 years, and just been another concerned citizen.
But you go to Central Baptist Church, which is very activist.
Activist
Yes.
organization.
And you have solar panels on the roof.
Yes, we do.
Well, I am Mary Coe. I've lived in Radnor for, I don't know how many years now, 38, something like that, 36. I'm an attorney. I've worked with the Environmental Protection Agency for the past 35 years. I just retired. I was the regional counsel, which is the head of the legal office in the Mid-Atlantic regional office, which is downtown in Philadelphia. It covers pretty much the Mid-Atlantic states. I'm a member of the Sconcala Community Garden. That's just
How Mary and I
Saturday
get to
night.
know each other.
Know each other pretty closely. Very active in that, and work with the food bank section on that, which is a fun thing. Was a co-founder and of the Radnor Trail. Went through the Radnor Trail exercise that took about 13 years to get built, but I was the president of that organization while I was going through all that turmoil, so we got the Radnor Trail built.
My wife thanks you, she loves that trail.
Does she love that trail? Yeah, it's it's great. It's great, and I love how the adjacent property owners who gave us a really hard time. They all have like little gates now, little dog water dishes outside.
I
So
didn't know I wanted it, but now I can't.
yeah,
live
you
without
know,
it.
Down, yeah.
but I learned so much from that exercise about how not to do things. It was very good learning experience for me, but it was really a stressful 13 years. Obviously very interested in the environment.
And we snagged her.
You snagged her. Well, I just retired, so I'm filling up fast.
I was gonna
So
say,
yes,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
fill all that
I
time.
everybody's, how can you be on our board? I'm like, yeah.
Thank
So.
you. Yeah, thank you.
But it's good to be doing stuff with Radnor, doing something a little focused and local, and if we can't do it here in Radnor, then what hope is there for anybody else? So, with all the resources we have, we don't have other pressing issues, like, feeding our families and things like that other communities have to face. We can actually tackle some of these issues.
Well, actually, I moved to Radnor Township during that whole fight for the Radnor Trail, and I came to a county commissioners meeting. I thought, how could this be controversial?
Like one of the biggest. Well, that's what I thought when I got started. I thought, my kids are in school. I should give back to the community. And, this looks like a cute little project.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did I get to be the lead on this?
Yeah, years later. Well,
Change is very difficult.
Yeah, change is difficult, and people don't like to be told what's good for them. That's not a good way to start the conversation. So yeah, I learned a lot from that.
Well, I'm in the Community Garden Club at Wayne, and we
are you?
maintain the butterfly garden that's near the art center there. So,
Oh, great!
my husband and I were down there weeding and putting some other plants.
I love
in.
that little garden.
It is. It's a neat little garden. The problem is it's in the shade.
It is in the shade, mostly. Yeah. Oh well.
So
Dab.
that
Spice bushes. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, yeah. So, but it has the river birches, which are wonderful for insects, but they also provide a lot of shade.
They're a lot bigger than I
They
ever
get
thought they were
big.
going
The
to be.
ones in my backyard are huge. They're
Yeah.
towering above the white pines.
When
It's
I
like-
studied landscape design, we all thought river birch was going to be
Yeah, I got a
great,
little 15-footer and
disease-free, but I ended up with one that I started from seed and it ended up about 60 feet tall. I had to take it
yeah,
out.
they're tall. They're beautiful though. I love them.
Yep.
But,
So anyhow,
anyway, so that's me. So,
tonight we're going to try and make some real tracks on the RFP, which Dan's been leading, and hopefully we can make enough progress because himself is going on a tour of the US for a month. And we're gonna try and get this thing done. It did go to Steve Norsini and to Bob Sinkowski this week for them to begin to weigh in on sort of some formatting business. So they'll put it out on Penn Bid. So, and then we'll go fishing and see who appears. So that's our main focus tonight, is to Dan's request to have it up on the screen so we could wordsmith and where do we go.
Right. From my perspective, those who have reviewed the RFP, I think, have come to agreement with the changes. Let me know if that's not true. Because we do have some large outstanding items. The first of all is, of course, the dates, the schedule for which we post the RFP,
Right.
we receive.
And that's where we'll get some
Questions.
information from Steve.
To Steve, okay.
And I will follow up on that.
All right, thank you. And I've talked with Sarah, just what impact the fall budget meeting will have, which occurs in September.
Begins in September.
Right, where the budget gets finalized for the next fiscal year.
Yeah, well, maybe I give a little background, because I don't think a lot of you go to the commissioners meeting, which I fully understand. Bob works with the staff, and in July they put in their needs, and the commissioners don't like to raise taxes, so he comes up with a manager's suggested budget with a 0% budget increase, and then it goes to the commissioners for a lot of conversation, because they all have their opinion, their ideas, their whatever. And actually, there was a meeting Monday night here because they give money to several nonprofits. So the meeting Monday night was, who are we going to give to? And the most obvious but needing the most money is the fire company. Because what are we going to do if we don't have a fire company or an EMS? And they don't have as many volunteers, so their budget is really going up. I think the township gives them nearly $1 million a year. And the library, which is really an extension of the township, which I think for 2020 is about $947,000. And then they have the senior center, Surrey Services, the Historical Society, the Wayne Arts Center, and other groups come in, but if they don't give them a budget, they don't know what to do. So that was the discussion Monday night, because life is getting to the point where they've got the days of having a voluminous pot of money is gone. And they're not getting as much Act 911 tax money, which is the cost of operating business in the business district, because between the internet and all the development at King of Prussia and in Devon and in Malvern, they're just not raking in the money. So this coming Monday, they're prepared. Ruth, we're really doing the RFP, and I'm giving a little background on the money. They really have to pay attention to where the money is and where the money's going, and they have two looming issues, one of which is the sewers. They're primarily in North and South Wayne, because they're over 100 years old, and they were clay pipes, male to female. And so I was telling Dan, zoning didn't come in until 1968, so there are actually sewers that run under some people's houses, in addition to on properties. And so they were talking in June of borrowing $70 million, because they also have stormwater. And as climate change changes us, I mean, I was delighted. There was water in the basement of the White House.
Me too.
Got
My comments
six-
on NPR on Facebook were thoughts and prayers.
I just thought, they got 6 inches of rain in an hour. So that's sort of an aside. So then the commissioners weigh in, and they do have the township's recommended budget, and I think we write a reason why we need X amount, and don't be skimpy, and ask for what we think we want, and negotiate from there. If we don't put out a figure, we won't get anything. So if we've got the RFP finished and can show the RFP with the budget request, that'll start in September.
As a benchmark, did we have a number for what Westchester?
We have a number
Spends to
we have
do
a
a
number
comparable
for
study.
Haverford Township.
Okay, so we have we can justify our.
$25,000 is what Haverford Township has asked for.
That seems like
And that
very
seems
little money.
very reasonable. We could ask for twice that much.
Mhm.
And then we could ask for what we didn't spend on the RFP, negotiate for the RFP. We could negotiate to start some of the alterations that needs to happen on this building.
And then we could recoup
And then we
in a
can,
year.
right. So we'll just have to become, there's
Yeah.
an old phrase, being as wise as a serpent and as gentle as a lamb. And begin to
Yeah.
negotiate.
And in my experience, you always go in higher than, you got a build-in buffer for getting chewed down. And they feel good because they got it for less than you asked for.
Right, so a lot of this the first thing, hopefully we'll get back from Steve Norsini and Bob Sinkowski within a week.
Okay. Steve, who is he?
Steve Norsini is the township
Oh,
engineer.
Yes, Steve Orsini, yep, got it. Okay. So,
And he's the one who posts everything, and it will go out on pen bid, so that anybody and everybody who uses pen bid will get to see it, and
okay.
hopefully we'll get a number of people. I do know from having gone to the EAC meeting at Newtown Township, our next door neighbor, they used a firm, just redid their building, and it's now geothermal, and it's really quite lovely, unlike our Taj Mahal, but that's all right.
Do they have
And they used a
figures?
firm.
Do we have figures, before
They-
and after figures?
they have figures.
That we can
Yes,
supply?
and they used a firm in Newtown Square.
Okay, that's great.
So we'll
We
make
can
sure
access
that and it costs them $4,000 to get the advice to do some of this new building. And the more we do, the less
Good.
the energy expert has to do.
So related question, if there are firms that did work for, say, Westchester, or are doing work for Haverford to do these kinds of study plans, and we would like to make sure that they bid, does the process allow for the township to kind of give them a heads up to look on pen bid? And
I don't know whether
I don't know if
that's
that's
ethical.
well, I don't know if, okay.
There's a whole thing about steering it in one direction, which other people can then say.
Okay,
you
yeah, well, I'm
should
just
do.
asking if the process.
No, I
allows it,
think
yeah.
it just goes out on pen
That's
bid,
fine.
and you see what happens, and if you don't get a whole lot of responses, then you feed it out to others. But I know when Westchester did it, now it's a much bigger project, because they've got 6 municipalities going together. They got 9 or 10 responses. So we're hoping that's part of what I like to call the Jesus factor. The optimist.
And we do know, or we have the ability to find out who Westchester used and who.
Yes.
So, because that can.
And that can
Public
help.
information.
Yeah.
I
right.
can give that list
And we can
to
find out
Steve,
how happy they
to
were.
Steve Norsini.
Okay.
They ended up using this firm called Cadmus.
Mhm.
I think the proposal was made available to us, and I it impressed me. It's
Yeah.
very well written.
Well,
very
and we-
comprehensive
Well, it's the
plans.
basis for this.
Yes, so
Well, hint, hint, yeah.
Well, but we've done that all the way. That's the good part of Ready for 100, is that everybody has provided help
Yep.
to everybody else. So we're all,
Mutually beneficial.
it's very. And it was wonderful to be with this group. There were, well, we were the 19th. There were 18 municipalities at this meeting in Ambler from Montgomery County, because they've got 9 municipalities now. And I was both green around the gills, but at the same time, it was, White Marsh Township said, what can we do for you? And the guy who's the head of Montgomery County for Ready for 100 said, how am I available? And I'm arranging to get a slide deck that they did for Newtown Township. We'll rework it for Radnor Township. Because we're all on the same track. There just doesn't seem to be any outside. We're all in it together. So what else?
Okay,
So the next question?
Well, I've just asked Sarah, and we are to assume no Radnor funds for private energy transition conservation projects. They all are expected to be self-funded.
And the point being, they're gonna have efficiency, so they're gonna save money, so
Right.
they're gonna wanna do it.
Yep. And then what I call the boilerplate sections of the RFP. There's a upfront notice, which I think is posted as a kind of in pen bid.
And that's what
And then-
Steve will,
Right. And the compensation section, proposal format in the following
that's
section.
all,
So
that's all boilerplate.
That's all Steve, pretty much?
Yep.
Okay. So you're an engineer and you know these details. Good. All right. I want to just go through the highlights of the RFP, because I have not, from email and from comments made in the RFP by folks here and Robin, I mean, it was quite pleasurable to work with everybody and seemed to resolve a lot of comments quickly. So here's just, I'm highlighting these sections because again, the details have to be figured out by Bob in terms of dates. The background and the background was fleshed out with the help of Sarah on actual acreage of school and open space and parks. And I forget who was it, Robin or somebody gave me information on
DVRPC.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
the person that sent this census stuff.
Okay, yes. So I actually went to the census and confirmed those figures for 2017. And I added the senior center. And I added this section, which I
Do
think
you,
is
aren't we we're a home
rule.
something one
Right.
municipality?
Yeah, we're one.
And I
What's
forget
it
what it's called.
Jesus, I was just thinking about this morning. There's 1 and 2. There's only 2 categories.
Yeah.
Is it significant to add it to the?
Yeah, because we're both home rule and a township of the first class.
First class.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, has room rules and is a township of first class?
I would say
Yes.
Radnor Township is a
Home rule.
township of the first class and has home rule status. Probably the way I would put it. Sort of a home rule status is like glom on or pull out or adjunct.
First. Do we capitalize anything?
Probably township first in class.
Township?
Yeah, township of the, and capital F, capital C.
Okay.
Probably home rule should be capitalized too. If you
Yes.
need, really precise
Alright.
that.
That does set us apart.
Yes.
What it exactly means, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just-
Sounds good.
we get a little more discretion than some smaller townships do, in terms of what we're allowed to do.
Okay. And we're deregulated utility state.
Yes.
Submission procedure,
It'll
again,
go to
this
Bob.
is the same as in the notice, will get updated by Bob and Steve. And this sentence, I just didn't understand it, but I revised it as I thought would make sense. Evaluation and acceptance of any proposal will take place after all RFPs are received for this topic.
Yeah,
Yes.
there were a couple of words in there that, it looks like somebody was drafting and forgot to take out the old words. So they're a bit like two verbs or something, so I hope you caught them all.
Do
Yeah,
we
that-
want to say by the deadline though? I mean, because we're not going to wait till Christmas.
Right, that's right, but received, by their deadline.
Yeah, just make it general by the deadline, because we haven't really figured out yet what the deadline is.
Well, and we also don't want to say RFPs, we want to say all proposals.
Proposals.
Right.
This is the RFP.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's what,
This is good
that's
to
what threw me.
wordsmith this tonight. Yes. Dan, you're doing a really good job. I hope you understand, I did not want to step in until necessary.
That sound better?
Have been received
Yes.
yet.
All right. All right. Again, this is probably a Bob's or Steve question. They're gonna post it in the website, I presume. They could give the actual
They may, yes.
address. There was some discussion on this one, and I think that what Robin accepted, just defining.
Instead of
sectors.
detailing out the sectors.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah, the whole.
health centers and private, public buildings, yada, yada, yada. So I presume that's comprehensive, and it's basically, it stems from the background, which describes all the entities in the township. All right. Let's see. Right.
Mhm.
Okay, I kind of reworked this section to be more clear. And I didn't get any pushback on that. Chuck Marshall, my friend at Central Baptist, 30 years, worked in conservation, policy and management, and specifically water resource management. Suggested we just describe the landscape a little better by adding consumption by sector and source of energy. That's
That's why I
basically.
had more detail here, good.
Strongly agree. I think, you need a baseline
Right.
from which to chart progress.
Okay.
And that's where the DVRPC study will really help.
Yes.
That data comes from 2015, it was just released.
Right.
Um,
And also Chuck asked the question, are we leaving it up to stakeholders to come up with their own plans? Or are we to basically tell them what type of plan to make? And basically it's a combination of both. And so I think this bullet addresses that.
Yes.
We are to work in partnership with them in coming up with their own energy transition and conservation and efficiency plans. And then just giving examples of stakeholders. And I know somebody wanted to stress economic incentives for identifying conservation and efficiency approaches.
And that was Robin.
Yep. and with initial emphasis on deep energy retrofit opportunities in municipal facilities. I had to look up what deep energy retrofit means, and it means exactly energy efficiency and conservation in a building, usually.
So what would, for example, one of the things that would be changed is when Bob Zinkowski walks through that door in the morning, the lights all go on, and if it's a sunny day, all the shades go down. It's all computer driven, so he can't turn a light switch. It's all, so that's gonna be part of the change, and you all got that in that zip drive I gave you, all the recommendations that Pico made.
Right.
Because, and the classic case is the wonderful rec center that Haverford Township built, which is a LEED platinum building. And Steve started to analyze it. He works for Pico, he's an engineer. It was about as inefficient as it came. Because the same thing happened. You walked in the room, the lights all went on, and the curtains came down. So there was no use of daylight. So they had to rework all the computer business in the building and make it a little bit more user. And the classic example is down in the Radnor Shire room during a commissioners meeting. They're fussing with a thermostat up and down the whole time because it's cold when you first go in. And then the bodies all come and it gets a little heated, and then it's too hot, and then it's too cold. Because in this building, the heat and the air conditioning are both on all the time. You just shift up and down.
So it sounds like infrared sensors. of
It's
some kind.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they know it.
Because I
And
know
there's
movement center sensors, if you stop moving, like in an office, the
Right.
lights will turn
Oh,
off.
yeah,
right.
It's gotta be
Yes, you like
infrared.
this one.
Well, because then you're sleeping. You don't need the
Right.
light.
So, I mean, some of this is gonna cost money for this building,
Yep.
but the end result is, the hope is that instead of $90,000 a year for electricity, it'll be only $60,000. And the $30,000 will go in the pot to do
Right.
the next piece
And
of
we've
it.
got the Haverford example.
Right.
Excuse me, I have a quick go-back question on the bullet. Municipal, just from my own understanding, municipal does that exclude schools?
Yes.
Okay.
The school district is different, and we're working on getting into the school district to just offer them a free analysis of the 5 buildings and the administration building, so they find out what their baseline electric use is.
But the scope of the RFP, whoever we hire will, the school district will be included?
Yes.
Because they're not an initial focus?
Right. Well, we're having it's not easy to get into the school district, to get them to listen. But we're working on it.
Assessment and identification of locations for renewable energy generation, energy storage. So I guess this would be both at the residential and non-residential
Right.
areas. Okay.
And I sent you this afternoon a webinar that's going to be on the 18th, which is talking about small business. But if anybody can listen to it, it's an hour long. It's coming out of Penn State. I don't think the township has, my experience of them is they don't use cooperative extension much, but it's there. And so this is coming out of Penn State, and it includes grant possibilities.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully we can get the township to, and the information about it came from the township. The township got the information and sent it on. So we just have to.
That's really good, that bullet.
You like this bullet? Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a request to do that. So I just gave examples because there's a lot in there.
There's
Numbers
a
are
lot.
growing. And I also added this. Okay. Financial and economic impacts. looks at both the renewable energy generator and consumer levels. And I listed a lot of things that apply to both or one of them. So
Mhm.
it's kind of a jumble
Well,
of
it's
things.
general.
Okay. All right, so we copacetic with that. Comments. Okay, good. And then this is pretty much lifted from the Westchester, how to define the term renewable energy. Oh, actually, I think that was in some of your objectives. That was the second thing, and I just added that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Okay.
You've done a yeoman's job.
Okay. Greenhouse gas reduction trajectory, and Chuck wanted short, medium, long-term deliverables.
And that's part of our goals.
Yep, okay. With her, and emphasizing the
Energy
municipal
conservation
buildings.
efficiency. Right.
And this is a Bob and Steve question, just when are they to initiate?
What is our goal?
Yep, and then compensation is boilerplate, actually from the Westchester RFP.
Right.
And I fleshed this out a little more, adding
Figuring out the dates.
proposals, yes, we're gonna have to get the dates nailed down. And I said initiate contract execution, contract completion, I added that.
Right.
And then the format section is I assume,
Boilerplate.
Boilerplate from the, this is all again from the Westchester RFP. Then I just removed this because I didn't think it was pursuant to Radnor, which has
No.
only one governing body.
Right.
And that's that.
Mary, if you've reread it, do you have, as a lawyer, do you have any ideas?
No, I thought a lot of what I had scribbled in the margins were things that were addressed. There were some redundancies and things like that that had been taken out, that kind of thing.
Robin and I had the RFQ and the RFP, and we had a heck of a time of unmeshing it and not reduplicating
Yeah,
it. And,
yeah.
and it was, so what do you all think?
Really good, thank you, Dan.
Nice work.
Mary, do you have access to this Google Doc?
Yeah, I got a copy of your
Okay.
of the document, your comments. Right.
All right, am I to expect some comments from you?
If there's anything that I have that you didn't catch, it's probably more of a,
Okay.
editorial minor edits or something.
Okay.
I'll send that to you ASAP.
Okay,
But
great.
conceptually and substantively.
Great. All right, so I'm going to be going dark. Well, not dark.
Half dark.
but
Going
starting-
away.
Starting Sunday for 4 weeks. So somebody should really take over finishing the RFP. Who would this die?
I'm going away, but for less time. So-
And when do you go away?
I, lunchtime tomorrow until the 23rd.
Well, I can shepherd it through. I'm going out of the country August 6th, and I'll be back on the 17th, but
We want to try and get
we want to
this.
have it done by
Yeah.
then.
I've got a similar schedule.
If we could
Good.
get it, we could get it into one color.
Yeah, that's easy.
Eliminate the,
Well,
Well, we need
eliminate
we need
Yeah.
to
the
find,
deletes,
Yeah.
send Bob
Clean final.
and Steve what we consider to be our final copy with the highlights where they need to
Oh.
put in the stuff.
They're not reviewing it now.
Well, I don't know whether they are.
They do have access?
They were sent it by Robin in this format this week. It
Right.
might be good to Mary
Give them an
to
update,
tuck her
yeah.
few things in before you leave. So today is Wednesday and you're not going till Sunday, so
Right.
if she could do
Yeah,
it.
tomorrow.
Then we could send it in what we anticipate is the final form
Okay.
and ask for feedback within 10 days. And then we've
Okay.
hit our deadline.
I could put it in final form this weekend
Great. Good.
after getting
Great.
your comments.
Great. I won't have
And,
many.
I assume it'll be just a simple Word document.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's it.
Awesome.
And,
Good job.
We'll go from there.
We'll see what happens.
Yes.
It'll be interesting, the fishing expedition. That's the fun part, see what you get.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we have no clue who's going to respond to this. I know one gentleman who's going to respond. And what's interesting, hear the word about this gentleman. He doesn't charge a fee, he takes a percentage of the savings. He's done this with the township before. It's looked on as not totally copacetic. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he didn't respond. He's sending stuff to me all the time. And he's a nice enough guy, but I don't think that Bob, he did some work for the township when Dave Bayshore was still the manager. And that's been a whole turnaround.
One thing I have concern with the RFP is it's very comprehensive. It's addressing all sectors.
Right.
The only thing it's putting up as a high priority is municipal buildings.
Right.
So, having the township kind of swallow this project, it's like it's a big bolus. And we do say, interim deliverables in terms of goals for transition and efficiency. But we're really leaving it up to the respondent to determine
Hopefully.
exactly what is the phase deliverables.
Right.
And this has to be, in terms of budget, for the township, the township's not funding anything, that's true. But how long do we engage the consultant? I mean, we're going out to 2050, of course.
Well, I
And-
think my anticipation is from the other conversation of the other counties, Montgomery and Chester County, is that they anticipate this guy will figure it out within 6 months and deliver a product
Okay.
that says, for instance, in one of the other townships, their goal for the residences is to increase by X% people switching their energy provider.
Okay.
So if you
That's
get,
a near-term goal.
that's a near-term goal, but you break it down, so we want 5% per year for the next 5 years, or 10%. We have, how many households have we got? 9,557 households, and that's apartments and HOAs, that's everybody. So are we gonna look at 900 switchings per year? Are we gonna look at 450 switching per year for over a 5-year period?
Right. So should we kind of define a little better what the deliverables,
No, I
phase
think,
deliverables are?
I think we and the township and the
I all understand that.
consultant, we all work together to look at.
Before the ETP is
Right.
drafted.
That's part of his work, is to figure it out.
But to negotiate with us,
Yeah.
okay. All right, I've never done this, obviously.
Well, have
Well-
any of us?
Up top, we mentioned what the township's goals are, right, by 2035 and 2050.
Right.
And then you have a statement that talks about, the offerer is supposed to provide a plan that gives, near-term, mid-term, and long-term steps to achieve those goals, right? So you're kind of laying out by when and
Right.
by what. And, the municipal part is, I guess, the higher, we want to make sure that part's to the left in the near term. I think
Right.
someone responding to this should see all the pieces that we're asking. At the end, they're supposed to give us a plan that we can then march to, right? With, quantifiable, measurable steps to get to
goals.
Yes. Now,
The one bullet where we talked about the baseline, that'll be important. So let's say we say, they survey the township and there's X number of households, some percentage of which use renewable energy now. Well, then that gives you, okay, if by 2035, so if you straight line it, then by each year you should be able to quantify how many more houses should have shifted.
Right.
And somehow we have to have, I guess, a mechanism to measure. After the plan's done, well, how do you measure that you're marching towards your goal? You
Right,
know,
right.
who gives the township an annual census of, this many more businesses are using renewable, or this
Right,
many more.
right.
That'll be,
And hopefully they're gonna have the expertise to get
hopefully
this
they'll have the
started.
expertise as to how to instrument the township
Right.
to check progress.
Well, I mean, you need a building permit, don't you, to put on solar panels?
Yes.
So there you go, the township's looking the state of it.
Yeah,
Well,
that'll
we
be
might
part
not
of, but not.
using- we
You
might
know what I
not
mean?
using
That's
some.
one way.
That is one way, yes.
that's a different kind of incentive.
Right. But I
Well,
mean, you've got the permitting, I'm like, okay, there's,
Yep.
the Joneses have it.
Right.
Sure.
And one of the long-term goals, Mark, is to have Radnor Township adjust its zoning rules so that, I don't need to point out Villanova, but Villanova's the one who's
Please.
tried. Development and redevelopment, there's a height that you can go to, and most entities that are developing and redeveloping will take the garage that we, the township, made Villanova put on to have 2 more layers of garage because they didn't have enough parking, and all the zoning is run by how much parking you have. So they used their height, and now they want to use the airspace to put solar panels on, and the township has said, no, you're at 35, you can't go any higher. So a long-term goal is going to be to begin and work through and influence the township to give a variance that if you will put solar panels on, we'll let you go to 35, but then we'll give you 8 more feet to put solar panels. So that's going to be that's a long term. That's not going to happen easily and quickly.
But if we talk about community solar, and
Yes,
that's the last
we're
point
going to get
on
into that.
then you wouldn't necessarily have the solar panels on your roof.
Right, there could be a
Right.
solar field out in
Right.
the middle of Pennsylvania that you're
Well,
probably.
yeah, Philadelphia is in Gettysburg.
Yeah, and I just spent a lot of time in Massachusetts, and the parking in grocery stores, they have solar panels. So you park under the array, so your car is kept nice and cool, and
Yep.
you can plug in those solar panels,
Yeah.
and they have it in ice hockey rinks, like it's everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like normal there.
Right.
It's really wonderful.
Right, it really, and it's, as climate change increases and the temperature increases, you're not going to be able, the reality is you're not going to be able to park your car out in the open parking.
They even have that at the Eagle Stadium. To a little
That's
extent.
right.
They have parking spaces. covered
And
by
Bobby
solar.
is hot with it, and I have on my agenda, they're going to redo the south parking lot outside the library, because they're going to put stormwater in it because the area floods and the firehouse floods out and blah.
Yeah.
I want them to put solar panels on that parking lot.
Now, what about a solar-powered fan on your car that the Prius has?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you know how hot your cars get in the summer?
Well, they have one, but I don't know where it comes from, but this is down the road.
Sarah, you mentioned commercial organizations can get aggregated power purchasing. Residents can't.
Right now.
And
Right
that's
now.
where
That's
Ruth
why-
has got this
That's
information.
why I added that phrase.
Yes.
Right,
Mhm.
yes.
Where is the phrase?
It's
Status
in
of
the
any
first
proposed
bullet,
changes.
essential elements of the plan.
So it doesn't say that, yeah, so it's what's highlighted in blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Status of any proposed changes to energy regulations.
And there is a bill
Okay, so
both
that
in the House
addresses
and the Senate.
things that may come along.
Right.
And is it, that's what I want to see, is it, and I've read this before, but now I'm thinking, is it written in a way, are we writing this in a way that can anticipate future technologies? Like, you know what I'm saying? Something may come
Right.
up. Or
That's
are we
another-
expecting the proposal to have something like that? Maybe that's what.
Well, that's a separate bullet.
It specifies renewable energy, but not how the renewable energy
Yeah,
is
I mean,
generated.
'cause
So if
there's all kinds of
technology-
things, right.
Maybe we need to, maybe one where it's like including innovative or,
Yeah, right.
you know, sort of a little bit technology
Right,
forced
like
in.
new and innovative technology.
You know,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that may be, see, this is the overall,
Could it be regulatory context and conditions in Pennsylvania today and tomorrow, or as?
right.
Or
It's not
future
just the
technologies,
regulatory-
consideration of
Right.
future
Yes,
technology.
Consideration
something like
of-
that.
yeah, future of cutting it, whatever.
Right, I
There's a,
would
there's a phrase.
Right, I would expect whoever has a successful proposal has an eye on what's coming down the pike.
Yes.
Right.
So it doesn't need a complete sentence, maybe you just should identify new and innovative energy conservation, just put new in it.
Well, but part of it is the regulatory context we hope is going to change.
Well, that's addressed in the bullet, the first
Oh,
bullet
okay.
here.
All right.
But this is the overriding statement for
Right.
the energy transition plan, and I was hoping we could mention new and innovative.
So the sentence above, so where it
Strategies.
says in green, thus the plan will require understanding of area-wide energy use and technological solutions, somehow incorporating
Yes.
innovative into that
Yes,
statement.
yes.
Or
that's a good
actually,
point.
I'm thinking more future, like
Right.
more, I mean, because we could be innovative right now, but it's something that may be coming in the future.
Or anticipated.
Anticipated was the word.
Anticipated
Yes.
technologies or something.
And you could say, and current and anticipated technological
Yeah.
solutions. I don't know if it gets too cumbersome.
Right, require understanding of what's area-wide. Well,
Township wide?
Yeah, that would be
so we
current,
got,
I guess.
yeah, so we gotta
Or
close that.
forecast.
Well, could it be
Current-
of current energy-wide?
Current
energy?
and future anticipated, whatever,
Yeah.
area-wide energy use and
Um,
technological solutions. You can use it
Right.
to modify both concepts.
Say it again, Mary.
Current and, what did I say?
And
Future?
Anticipated,
Or
current and,
Projected?
anticipated, I guess. It's a good placeholder word for that. Current and anticipated area-wide energy use and technological solutions. It
Yeah, that's
modifies
good.
both of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, very good.
His
Well,
teamwork.
how about current and energy-wide technological solutions?
Technological energy.
Addressing energy use.
I don't know, I kinda liked it the way it was, but you may have an idea.
It just was, you were having all these
Yeah.
conditional statements, and
Current
then
and
you didn't have the
anticipated
punchline, so that's why I pulled up technological solutions.
Technological solution,
Solutions,
No,
comma.
For energy use,
Solutions.
comma, and understanding of current and anticipated area-wide technological
So you
solutions.
can
I would
take out
take
that
out the
and.
area wide, I don't know that it fits in there, and.
It's really
we need to put it
township
in
wide.
some-
Oh, yeah, actually, current and anticipated, yeah, it wouldn't just be
Township,
township wide
yeah.
technology.
Right. Look at the map.
There you go.
That's what
Current and-
Love delete.
As the plan will require an understanding of current and
Okay,
anticipated.
for energy
technology-
use,
Uh-huh.
period,
For energy
anywhere.
use.
energy.
And barriers legal.
I think you can lose the "and" there. For energy use, barriers, legal implications.
Yeah,
and
I can
potential.
ditch that in.
Yeah, it's a-
Just and, remove that.
Yep.
Yeah, just, yep.
Yes, it
Yep,
read-
yeah,
it
yeah,
reads
yeah.
better.
Yeah, yeah, oh, that's good.
Okay, swell. All right, share. Okay, oh, last thing, I have to say, is this very last bullet is based on what we were talking about before. I can't read it. Basically, the phasing of the plan in terms of delivering energy efficiency, conservation, renewable energy, and storage.
I'd like to put the word recommendation opportunities back in. This isn't a mandate, it's a goal. Some people, like Rich Booker, isn't gonna buy in because he's got all his
He's not gonna
investments
buy
in
in, right.
fossil fuels.
He's not gonna buy in with, just counting on.
And short and long term what's? Goals,
How do you
recommendations.
How do you
I don't know
restrict
what-
something?
How about goals?
Right, and how do
Goals.
you get rid of the?
Long-term goals?
Phasing implementation, have you read that? Do short, medium, long-term goals, sure.
Yeah. With early emphasis on energy conservation and efficiency upgrades. Yep.
If
Mhm.
Yes.
you do, if you go under edit, is there and under edit up here, see if there's
Undo, or, yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Rules. I'll
I have
I'll
to
deal
say
with
I'm
it
not
when
a
I
lover of
finalize
Google
it.
Docs.
I've never used it
I
before, so
put it-
I was afraid to
convert
touch
them
it, which is why.
Word and work on them, and then I
Oh, for
convert them.
the Google Docs. I love it. I use it all the time with people across the country working on
Right.
documents.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how it's been developed.
Office, Microsoft, what was it
See,
called?
I've been out of the industry for 5 years,
Whatever,
and this is
off,
really
um,
become.
SharePoint or whatever it was.
Sure, yeah.
It was terrible too. I mean, they have bugs in them. I don't know why they don't.
Yeah, it feels.
They don't all work smoothly for whatever reason.
Now, are we happy having phased deliverables way down as the last bullet? I guess it makes sense, because you're talking about what the deliverables
What
should
we
be.
want, and
And then,
yeah.
Well, you mean there's not one develop deliverable, like here's your plan, which includes short-term, long-term, and medium-term goals that the township should have, or are we gonna actually have more than one deliverable from this
this is
RFP recipient, or?
the proposal should have, as an essential element, phasing implementation of energy efficiency.
Right, but that will all be described in the one deliverable we get from this
That's-
recipient
yes.
or respondent, I
Right,
guess.
the
we'll call it.
deliverable is
The deliverable is a plan.
Right, there's a big deliverable and then.
But the
And
plan
then
calls
and then the
for
steps
accomplishments in
to
certain
achieve
time
it.
periods, yeah.
Right.
Recommended time periods.
So, is everyone okay having this at the back end of the list of essential elements of the plan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Think so.
All right. that's,
Okay.
I was just thinking about having, okay, I don't want to overrun. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So Mary's gonna,
I'll give it one
she's
last
gonna
look.
look
I
at
have a
it,
few
and then
things.
Dan's
We may
gonna
have taken care of
convert,
it.
and
Okay.
if you would, you can either send it to Robin or to me to go to Bob or Steve, or I can send you Bob and Steve's.
I'll send it to you.
All right, and then
They know
I'll,
you.
and then
That way you'll know.
and I'll forward it to Bob and Steve.
Yes.
Say, here it is, please do what you need to do to it to make sure that it's within the rubric of how Penn bid does their thing.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so the second thing, and I brought extra copies so that people can
Why have
play
this?
with it.
Guys
The
need-
education.
This thing,
Yeah, education program.
this thing was just, I got this from Bryn Mawr Press. And it's just for you to look at another way to talk to people about renewable energy. And this Interfaith Power and Light is operating, and it looks, it's just really practical, so I just wanted you to see it. So Robin and I, in anticipation, to perhaps save some money on the energy planner, came up with this draft of community education. Does anybody else need a copy?
I got one.
I printed some off. This would be in addition to Steve Clark coming in September. I believe it's the second meeting in September, second meeting, so it's the fourth Monday in September. Making
Which
sure
meeting?
we haven't gotten into the Jewish holidays, which you already have done once before, and it caused total chaos. He will make a presentation specific to Radnor Township and energy efficiency. He did it for Springfield Township in Montgomery County. He has about a 10-minute PowerPoint, and I'll get a copy of the PowerPoint and send it to you so you can see what he did. And he's doing the research now so that it's really focused on this building, Public Works, and maybe Sulpizio Gym, although it's closed
Still,
again.
yeah, timing.
And Bob wants to give it back to the school district. It's really, the fixes are really pretty easy, but if the roof leaks and it needs a whole new roof, and that gym always had water in the basement, and then if it rained, it would have 2 feet of water in the basement. So there's flooding issues that comes in from outside, and it's a real pig in a poke. It was instead of going in with Haverford Township, being a partner when they built their rec.
Steve Clark is,
Steve Clark is with PICO, he's an engineer, and he's the one who did all the heat maps, and it keeps hooking me in with people with PICO, and he's part of the Ready for 100 in Haverford Township. So he's gonna sort of kick it off with him coming to tell the commissioners, because that's where the money's gonna come from.
Rosh Hashanah is September 30th, so that's actually the 5th Monday in September.
Okay, so we're all right this
so
year.
Steve's going to present the success story.
The
for
six-
the
And he's
Haverford
gonna show,
municipal
but no,
buildings.
he's really gonna show how this building
Well,
can
yes,
be the
but,
success story.
well, yes, but
But he will talk about-
hook 'em
oh,
with
yeah.
the before and after.
Oh, yes, he will talk about
Economics.
that.
Okay, good.
And then, so Robin and I talked about this. This is just a draft of some suggestions of some forums that we would have. We've got the Radnor Shire Room, thanks to Bob. We've got the videotaping, thanks to Bob, so it's always available on YouTube afterwards. So these were just some ideas that we came up with. The forums, the tabling events, and using Radnor 21. And when we get to the Radnor 21 is when I really want to talk about the community solar and what I wrote you today. So if you jump right in now or take it and begin to feed us information to look at this, and if we've got this pretty well done, then we get some input from the energy expert who says, well, how about this and how about that? But we're ready to roll. And this is all really, except for the business, well, the 3rd and the 4th are businesses and institutions. And the 5th is transportation, which is.
Is there a date for when Steve Clark presents?
I
to Radnor?
believe it's the 24th of September.
Is it a Monday?
Yes,
23rd.
23rd of September.
Can I just add to the transportation, active transportation of walking and biking? I have a dream one day I will ride my bike safely from Berwyn to Villanova University.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
I can't
we're-
do that right now.
Safe bike trails, safe, I was on Route 50, not Route
Yeah.
52, Route
Because
141
that's
today
good
in
for the
Delaware.
health, it's good for the air quality, it's.
Good, very
Oh.
good. And it also
Excellent
buys
materials.
into what the township wants to do, which is asking for all this money to extend the trails.
Yeah.
You know, and I
So-
like the idea of, like, Wayne Business Association encouraging people to walk to Wayne.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Walk, why are you parking your
And
car and then
periods
bitching
of
about how
time
parking is, now it costs money
Did
and
Wayne
blah, blah, blah,
Avenue
blah.
shut down maybe? Like just there's no cars on, I mean, that's,
Make it a pedestrian zone.
right, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
Like,
Widening the sidewalk
They
to more
did it
than
in,
6
they
inches along
did it
30.
in Broadway in New York City. Honestly, they did. It's now walkable.
That's a great addition. Because one of the reasons being that the township's about to give quite a bit of money to the Wayne Business Association to redo the sidewalks and plant more
Planters.
trees, and so that ties right
Couple handicap
in.
parking spots and then everybody else walks.
Right. Well, the parking's so bad now, that's why I don't go to Wayne.
I'm just glad I live 2 blocks away, because I don't have to park in
So
Wayne.
that's an-
I use my feet. But
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
an
that's easy for me.
excellent suggestion.
But,
And it's a way to begin to bring the businesses in, is to have a program that can show the businesses how they can do this. And the businesses, Wayne Business Association is hot on the township trail for money to redo.
good. That means we have leverage.
So exactly.
We have something they want, money, and
Yes.
maybe they can do some things for us.
Do some stuff for us.
Sarah, do we have speakers for these?
No, that's
Okay.
part of the pulling it in to, and hopefully for some of this at least, we'll have volunteers with expertise from Ready for 100 who will come in and talk about, be our speakers, and hopefully they'll do it for love. So we don't have a budget.
We'll just give them a percentage of it.
Yeah, that's
No,
a
I'm
percentage of what we
gonna
save.
personally ask Bob to allocate $5,000 to this committee for a year, so that we can offer some honorariums and,
you know, or at least traveling expenses.
and traveling
Whatever.
expenses and whatever.
And keeping with the business folks, I mean, even encouraging buying locally, because that cuts down on
Mhm.
travel of the items and
Right,
supports local businesses.
Right.
yes.
How are you gonna get me off the internet?
What, how am I gonna get?
You're gonna get me off the internet.
Oh.
I'm
No.
buying my clothes through Facebook, and it's coming from China in direct mail from China. That's how China's getting around the tariffs.
I won't buy anything new this year, so I'm all at secondhand stores. And it's
Well,
been
I
quite
bought
fun.
this new shirt.
It's lovely,
It
by the
came
way. I
from
was-
China.
Great fun.
Today it came
They
from
still have to use
China.
in China.
And it's a, who makes the men cotton underpants?
Sarah, do we have a
Names.
list of people to approach for speaking?
We will develop that.
Yeah, I've got a couple of names, needs to say, from
I'm
my
sure
old EPA
Mary
colleagues.
does.
One guy's a real energy guy too. He loves to speak. In fact, he's an adjunct at Penn, so he's blah, 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 blah. It's really good. It's very personable. It's really into
And
it.
Nina Raval is really working on electrical energy. I tried to, do you all know about grid?
I love Grid. I have all their issues like in a file.
So I joined it because they were
There
about to
you
go
go.
belly up, so I'm a
New
subscriber.
one?
This is the new one, so I went down to Mom's on my way here to see if I could give you all a copy.
I got a copy.
It's very creative and very interesting. Mom's gives it away, but Nina Raval has started writing a column in this. She'll be in every month.
I want to generate some action items here.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
And I'm hearing two people, knowledgeable people, who have some names
Yep.
in mind.
Yep.
And you action yourselves to contact them. I'm wondering, to what extent will you be able to pigeonhole their presentation to these various topics? Because they may well have a pre-prepared topic that is still very relevant, but may touch, overlap a lot.
That's when we give them the guidelines.
Okay, all right.
But I know we have Steve, we have Bill Saby, we have Jen Paveo is the one who's worked on the PA Energy Choice. She lives in Lower Merion Township. She's the one who developed the brochure that I gave to you last year, which she's sharing with everybody. the Solarize thing is, the people from Haverford Township have 30 people who have signed up for Solarize in 2019, which is very impressive. And we don't have public health in here.
Right, well, I mean, I could talk about the active transportation piece
Right.
and health effects. But I also think to get buy-in, we want to get local folks. And so if we can get people in the community that have expertise, but we have 3 universities.
Right.
And so, we should reach out to Eastern Cabrini and Villanova. They're the only ones, right? In Radnor.
Rosemont? Is Rosemont?
No,
Rosemont, I
it's- no,
think
it's
is
in Montgomery.
Montgomery County, I think.
It's Montgomery County.
So it's Cabrini, Eastern, and
Right,
Villanova.
and Valley
Little
Forge
bit of Valley
Junior
Forge,
College.
Okay,
yeah.
but
Was it the
maybe-
fourth is the, yeah.
But if we
Yeah, we said
can,
4.
and I don't know people off the top of my head, but I would be happy to look for them.
Well, I'm sure that Liesel and Jean
Yeah.
Lutz
Yeah,
know.
they could, Lisa certainly could have Jean, but I could talk to folks in the business school that might be able to talk about it. I don't
The
know.
engineering school, well,
Yeah.
you're getting your master's there, right,
Right.
Mark?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have a guy in engineering that does water,
Yeah, Dr. Trainer.
yeah,
You could get Rob.
right, yeah, so, you know what I mean, to start getting them thinking, oh, we gotta be part of this.
Yeah.
To get them, speaking of Rob, it was
And
very
Al?
interesting. There was a piece on, I'm an NPR junkie. WHYY is on 24 hours a day. I live alone and the dogs don't talk, so the radio does. And Cooperative Extension in New Jersey at Rutgers is now educating public works staff in townships on how to build good rain gardens. And I thought to myself,
Wow.
and all that information comes for free because that's federal,
Right.
state, and county
Yeah,
funding.
those extension programs are awesome.
One of the things I need to do is find out whether Penn State is working on this.
I'm sure they are.
Well, I'm
Oh,
sure they
yeah.
are. This township is funny about cooperative extension. And having worked for cooperative extension, they're funny about Radnor Township.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Interesting.
So I
I work
will.
with the IPM folks, they're awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, but I will see what I can find out, but I thought it was most impressive that it's the public works people instead of hiring an outside outfit. And that's Rob, when we built the rain garden at Macron, it was Wren money, it was DP money. We got Rob into it because we had to have partners. And we ended up digging a 10-foot deep hole. And then Rob developed the formula for the soil mix, which came from Mayfield, and Harry delivered it on a Saturday to us. And rain goes in and rain goes down, and that's the problem with those rain gardens at Macron. They only went down 3 feet. And I keep saying to them, no, you didn't dig deep enough and you didn't. So, I mean, I really wanted to bring the expertise, particularly at Villanova with the engineering. It has a little bit more than Eastern and Cabrini has.
Mhm. But let's figure out a way to get them in.
But get them into it.
I mean, really, because
Yeah.
that's how you're going
Yeah.
to get buy-in.
Right.
So I would like to involve the person from Dynamic Energy, and that is a Wayne business.
Right.
And they have done.
And they did those 2 webinars.
Yeah, the first webinar I thought was very technical and pretty boring. But the second one was much better, and the person from Dynamic Energy, the person who does the siting for Dynamic Energy, was really very interesting. The other person who spoke was, I mean, that's the other thing, you want to have somebody who's really engaging. Unfortunately, I didn't get his name, I didn't put his name down, and they did say they were going to, Bill Sabley was going to send me some information, and I haven't gotten anything from him yet. He's probably just been busy with other things. But I think, and their focus is on, individual homes and businesses.
That a company by the name of Lumina is doing the Solarize in Haverford Township.
Yeah.
Actually, it's now so popular, they're now using 3 solar installers.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
And as part of that, bringing it right down to the township, I wrote Ruth today. There's a young couple that lives on Callanan. You probably don't know where Callanan is. Callanan's in Garrett Hill.
Okay.
And it's past the bars, past All Seasons. You have Wentworth, and you have one more short block, and you have Callanan. It's a dead-end street. And there's a young couple there who I knew through gardening who have put solar on their roof. And the husband, Ethan, did a lot of research. And I saw her at Mom's the other day and said, "Did you put those solar panels on?" And she said, "Yes." And I think we could start a conversation with Kristen and Ethan as to how they did this. They told me they have no electric bill. What they have is a loan to put on the panels, and they have 10 years to pay it back. I think it would be an interesting conversation with them to find out what they did and how they did it. I've already, because I switched my insurance agency in June, and there are 2 young men there that live not on that street but in the area, and they're already, "Do you know these people? You know, we'd really like to talk to them." And I think if we chose targeted areas where they don't have big trees and they don't have big houses, to begin to target these conversations and get a program where they talk about their experience.
Right. Yeah.
And
Right.
Kristen, I can't remember whether she's Kirsten or Kristen, she was very enthusiastic. She received this sort of conversation in Moms. So I feel that, you know, we could get ourselves the RFP, get the money, get the budget started, and maybe in 2020, when it'll be 26% tax credit, and the 1st of September is the cutoff for 2019. So we're basically out of that. Radnor is on summer break. But there's a way to get local experience, and the church could talk about what it's done, because Central Baptist has
Right,
solar.
I was thinking of asking Chuck Marshall.
Right, and so we could have a conversation of local successes, and maybe have somebody from Dynamic Energy. And I thought Robin and I have talked about this, and Dr. Tolan from Mainline Health has told me to start writing Jack Lynch, just telling what's going on in Radnor Township. He's the head of Mainline Health. And because they're waiting for the American Heart Association to tell them that it's okay to go ready for 100. Well, that's called a delay.
Is that what it's called? I'm Irish, we call it something else.
Each forum is going to have some new people from the area.
Right.
So we'd have a very brief slide set
Right.
describing RF 100.
Right.
And then, so that they know that this
Yeah.
is real serious
Right,
business.
and that's where
At
I
the
will,
municipal level, we're
right,
going
I will
ahead.
get back to to Bill Sabie, who did the one for Newtown Township, which you've seen, to ask permission to use his slides and particularize it for Radnor. So it's a
Yes.
really brief introduction to climate change and Ready for 100.
Oh, yeah, that was excellent.
Yeah.
And
It's
it was
terrifying.
it really convinced the EAC of Newtown to
Right.
continue to move ahead.
Yeah.
So this is part of the stuff that I have no problem doing. I let Robin do the policy and I do the make work.
You know, the stormwater guys, they must have maybe a history of events, flooding events.
Well,
Yeah.
Jim Doling and Ian took photographs of the big flood.
But I'm talking about trends.
Oh, yes.
Trends really at least impress me as something. So
Well, it's too bad we don't have somebody on the inside in the basement of the White House for
Yeah.
that. So part of the dynamic energy is changing the law in Pennsylvania so we can have community solar.
Right.
But as we're the fossil fuel state, it is not a walk in the park.
Right, but they were very, very positive. They really felt like this would move forward. And I think Bill asked the question, are they getting pushback from natural gas and from the fuel? No.
This
no,
was
I'm
this
talking
was
about,
this dynamic
community
energy
solar.
Oh, done it, okay.
just on solar.
And he said, no, they are not, because the natural gas industry and the fossil fuel industries are investing in renewable
Yes,
energy.
sure. They're one of the energy
They're no
companies,
dummies,
right?
you know.
Right.
So they're not getting a lot of pushback on it. But there are two solar bills. One is House Bill 531, and one is the Senate Bill 705.
There was an email, I think, that came out.
Yes, I sent the email because I didn't think we were going to have time to talk about it tonight.
Right, great.
So those are the two bills, and there's no new cost to the state, which is always a good thing.
Right.
And so they're focusing on community solar, looking at jobs, environmental impact, and setting up the framework for community solar. But putting solar panels on your roof is great, but not everybody can do that.
Right.
Some people
Have too many trees.
we have too many trees. Or I live in a condominium complex, and our roof is south-facing. It's a peaked roof. It's south-facing, but not everybody's is.
Yeah.
So the discussion within our board has been who owns the roofs. Because if the roofs need repaired, the condominium association does it. But they're over somebody's house, so,
And they own the houses. They're
Right.
not rentals, they're ownership.
Well, it's a mixture.
Right.
So they're about 30% rental occupied, but somebody owns them. So there's that issue of, and then if you put them over on the roofs that are peaked roofs that are south facing, how do you share that with the rest of the condominium complex? And how do you get them to buy in? Now the one fortunate thing is that the south facing roofs are interior to our complex. So it's not like, people are going to be walking or driving past on Route 30 and see our solar panels, which I don't think would be a bad idea, but sometimes people think they're ugly. So,
Solutions, we need solutions.
So, but the thing is, you can purchase basically your energy from the community solar. The field is located somewhere else, and they're looking for sites now, and then you get the electricity basically goes to Pico, and then
Yeah,
you
and
still
it's
buy
a
your
guaranteed price I have it
Right.
on my phone. I took a picture of it when they were showing it.
Yeah, so they were
Pico is
talking-
4 cents a kilowatt hour. They guarantee it'll never be more. If you buy into
Yeah.
this, you're gonna pay 4.3 cents per kilowatt hour. They're projecting that Pico rate is gonna go up.
right.
Haverford Township has already communicated with the Ready for 100 Haverford Township has already, because through Steve Clark has already said to me, Sarah, when does the Radnor Township's energy contract expire
Right.
so they could buy into it?
Yeah.
The commissioners would not agree to a contract. They're paying a month-to-month cost. They wouldn't commit to a price for a 2-year period.
At 4.3 cents.
Well,
They're paying 3 right now to Constellation, and they wouldn't buy into a contract. This is going to be a little bit of the over thing, which is the commissioners.
But it doesn't have to be the commissioners, because these would be individuals buying, but the commissioners would have to approve.
No, but if it was you and me, it wouldn't matter. we're
You're talking about township buildings
Ready for
buying
100 is
community
talking
solar.
about townships
Right.
going together.
Yes.
And Haverford Township renegotiated their contract with Constellation and got a lower price. Radnor won't sign a contract. And this is just the irksomeness of Radnor
I
Township.
think
So
there's a better deal down the road.
I don't know, oh, we can't commit our money for 2 years.
We have an election coming up.
We have an election coming up, and then, you know what, that's gonna be really important.
Yes.
And I'm talking about Radnor Township commissioners. Aren't you
Yes.
glad you don't live in our
Well,
town?
we have our own issues. But I'm just sitting here in this room going, but they don't mind spending a lot of money on flyers, posters.
No, they,
But okay.
well, this is Bob's collection.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Private funds.
But it's, you know, Radnor's gonna be interesting.
But they have a long-term commitment to the Willows.
They do, yes, well, the
Yes, we
Willows
do now.
raises $6 million, they do.
How much are we committing? I'm sorry, how much is the
Township
township?
committed 1.8, but that includes a new sewer line and a new water line, which they would have had to do anyhow. And the donor committed $1 million, but it's way above $1 million now because of the legal bills. So they're hiring a professional fundraiser, and they're attempting to raise $6 million, and it won't start till they've raised $3 million. So don't get me in,
No,
Mary,
yeah.
or I
Well,
into
People will
this.
spend money on what they want to spend.
Yeah, the only reason I.
And I
bring
want
that
to
up
put a
is that
solar roof on that building.
It was, you know, it was brought up or presented at the same meeting we were at for Ready for 100.
Right. So,
But at any rate, there is an election coming up, and my ward.
yes, because you're in Luke's ward.
Yes.
Oh, you're on Luke Clark's.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mark lives right across
Yeah,
the
that's-
circle from him. He's really your neighbor.
Well,
Over
neighbor-
that back fence?
Yeah.
Yes.
What street are you guys on? What street
I'm on Midland Circle.
Okay, I'm Midlands. I'm on South
Yeah.
Aberdeen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. South Main.
So we'll see what happens. Well, I think we've made great progress. In lieu of everybody going away, I'm not 2 dogs and
Right,
7
and just
chickens
getting
keeps
together
me
a couple
at home.
weeks ago. I mean,
Yes.
So,
Thank you, Dan.
do we want to schedule another meeting? Do we want to continue to work al fresco and pull this stuff up?
Is everyone clear on their action items?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
You're going to take over when
Right.
Dan leaves.
Yeah.
Mary's
Got some
going to
minutes. I'll get my stuff done.
put her stuff in. And
Right.
so before you leave, you're going to get a black and white copy, so to speak, and
Yes.
send to me, and I'm going to send it to Bob
This weekend.
this weekend. And
do you want me to reach out to Lisa, although she's gonna have a baby any minute?
Right.
Is she the end of the month?
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
looking,
Yeah. So, but I can also go to our business school too. Like I can reach out to
and your
people.
end,
I know
that would be
folks.
great if you could
Yeah.
do some reconnoitering.
Yeah, and see also in
See
engineering.
what
Do you
kind
wanna
of
do engineering or
resources.
do you want me to?
I'm willing to do the engineering. I'm trying to think of which of these topics I would approach them on.
You know what?
Because they're more,
I know
engineering
Pally
fundamentals.
Singh does some solar stuff. So I know he does that in engineering. Do we want to have Bob Traver as well? Water or no?
I'm thinking we want to stay to electric.
I think, yeah.
I think we
I
want to
think-
stay with the
Okay.
theme of written.
All
Well, I
right.
mean, that's
And
No, no,
he's,
that's fine.
he's already been to EAC
Okay.
and talked about
I
rain
just want to make
gardens.
sure we're, okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's fine.
Yeah, I'll think about it. I have no problem going to them. I just want to make sure it's a fit between what they,
Right.
Well,
what they would,
sound
what their
them
content
out.
would be. And,
But Mark, sound them out and see if there is a fit.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
right.
I mean, I
And
know
you
for
say
the
we're just-
solar, one of the Haverford Township folks would come because they're actually doing it.
Okay, so we'll leave that alone then.
you know, baby arrival aside, she might be the most relevant person for Philadelphia to talk. 'Cause I'm afraid the other professors are going to be a little more theoretical. This is a little more.
Well, yeah, but we can tell them jumping.
Yeah, well, we can.
I can, I have no problem telling
No, I have no problem telling you. Okay. Anyway, so that'll be my action.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Lisa, but I think we can get somebody from business. Or maybe I just would like to also bring in the other schools, because I think it will help.
I'm not opposed to that, I just don't have context.
Yeah, so
Yes.
let me see who, maybe I know people at Cabrini, they might be able to direct us to. I don't know anyone at Eastern.
I know some people at Easter.
I used to know someone in Easter, I'm not sure she's still there.
Yeah.
I could check.
Do we wanna
Before she
set-
retires, I'll contact
But, so
you want to set the next meeting on the calendar?
Yeah, let's try
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, when does everybody come back?
Well, I could do the week of the 22nd or the week of the 29th.
July.
I can zoom
July.
in.
And we'll just set up Zoom again.
Yeah.
I'm good in July, I just can't do it early.
Well, that's right, because you're going to England.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do July either, July also.
Did you want Tuesday or Wednesday? Doesn't matter what day.
It doesn't really matter.
How about the 30th? Just see if it sticks. 30 July.
Where will you be, Dan?
somewhere between Boulder and Salt Lake City.
Good for you.
We don't have internet connection there.
That's
you know.
right.
It'll be breathing clean air.
Boulder will have internet.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City will have internet. Just make
Yes.
sure,
Between
just
those,
set
right.
your driving expectation for that day.
I know.
Get the right
So it's
time
July
zone.
30th?
Yeah, right.
Let's try for July, and I have to check with Ian so we can get upstairs.
So RF 100, 6:30.
6:30 on the 30th. And I'll get to, Becca had done us a drawing for the skirts, but I'll take care of where she is and come up with a catchy title of something to go on the skirt, and you guys can tell me what you like and what you don't like. It sort of sells us.
Well,
And
we will.
we'll get Bob to make the skirt for it. It's a
For the
table
table.
skirt. Table skirt.
Yeah, we're all gonna have
You
some.
thought you were gonna be wearing a
We're
skirt.
gonna have kilts there.
So we can, because we
30,
have
60.
Highland Avenue, and the pastor is
Yep.
very excited about it. And then we have the Fall Festival, where the township is providing the table and the tent and everything we need. So, and then we'll see where we go from there. Thank you for the hard work. Really great. And Katrina will be back, I believe.
Enjoyable.
No, you guys
Getting
have
to know
really
everyone
helped
working.
too, and it's, we're getting there. Okay?
Yep.
All right, I'll turn this off.
So something I've been tracking, I think by 2023, 2024, because of the declining cost of battery storage,
Yeah.
electric cars should be cheaper than internal combustion engines.
By when?
By like 2023, 2024.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
I
like
just have to
tomorrow.
live that long.
So then, then there'll be a tipping
Anybody
point.
really
'Cause then
will.
it just will, why would you spend more for a car, right?
And we're
That'll
going
be
to
the
buy
tipping point.
all those minerals from China.
Yeah,
They're gonna
that's
have a
part of the issue.
corner on cobalt and
Mhm.
all these. So
And I was looking at Nissan Leafs the other day, I mean, my car's not old enough to do it. They're not badly priced.
I did one of those trail hikes I do behind Skunk Hollow, and one of the people who was on my hike, she said, before we start hiking, can I just brag about my Leaf? She was telling us all about her Leaf and how easy it is, and how, no problem with the battery and recharging it, and she was just going on and on and on.
Right.
Yeah.
what's the range? Like 200 miles,
But there's the rub,
right?
is the range. And
Sure.
Robin, from her experience, she has the Chevy Bolt
Which has
with a
about
B, and it's fine in the summer. She gets about 325 miles out of a charge
Is
in
that
the
right?
summer, but in the winter.
Yes. Well, the Prius lose about 5 miles a gallon in the
Right.
winter.
Right. Well, and I have a Prius, so,
Yeah.
but she gets 175 to 200 in the winter out of her Bolt instead of 3 1/4.
This
And-
was announced today, an all-electric Mini Cooper.
Yeah,
170 miles of range and 36K.
right.
Cool.
The 36K,
But
but
the
the
Leaf-
Leaf doesn't
the
sound
Leaf
terrible
is-
to
But if
me.
you go buy a gas Mini Cooper and start saying, well, I want the
Oh,
sunroof and I want the
absolutely.
CD player, you can
Right.
get to the 30s
Absolutely.
in a hurry.
But
Yeah.
the Nissan Leafs, the used ones were with pretty pretty low mileage. They were $11,000, $12,000.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Of course, Volvo is only making electric cars now.
Mm.
Now they're starting to make electric buses, and they're building the company in Pennsylvania is developing wireless charging for commercial vehicles
Wow.
on turnpikes.
Wow.
So you would get within a range where you could charge and the truck would charge, so they don't have to stop for
Whoa.
75 minutes.
You know, those schizophrenics talking about all those
Mhm.
electromagnetic.
Yeah.
Probably right.
I mean, no one is safe
Put
now.
aluminum-
And maybe
Those
the
That's
tinfoil
right.
caps.
Everyone will get their own tinsel caps.
And
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
the
well,
1,400
aluminum foil on our
acres in
heads.
Philadelphia with a refinery,
Yeah.
there's a big push to make that go renewable.
Oh, absolutely. But that's an opportunity just staring us in the
Yeah.
face.
Let's make fireballs a thing of the past.
Oh, God.
Well, listen, I wanted to just let you know, I'm going to send you out an email. I got a call from Penn Environment last night, and there is an expo, energy expo for Delaware County. It's going to be August 3rd,
Aha.
and it's at the Brandywine campus
Of Penn State.
Penn State.
Isn't that where I met you and your husband last year? Or was that in Haverford College?
Probably Haverford College. So, at any rate, I'll send you the information. She had said she would send it to me today.
Is it just
Yeah,
cataract?
Jess,
Yeah.
Um,
And Ready for
so-
100 will have tabling, and Pico will have tabling. It's a really good time to go to one of those.
It's also a good time to make contact with people who might come and do some education for us. So, you can kind of get a feel for them.
And
So
hopefully
I'll
by
send that
then
out.
we'll have an idea of some programming.
August
We
3rd,
could make up a brochure that shows this is the public education we're going to